So yeah, Meg, we've been working for together for a while, and it's been very great. But I haven't really had a chance to like really ask you some basic questions. Um, how long have you been an agent for?
16 years.
16 years.
Yeah.
Nice. How old were you when you got started? Jeez.
Oh, 27. I had to do the math real
Oh,
quick.
sorry. Sorry. That's not how I should have started this conversation.
It's okay. I was
That's really,
27,
that's
so
really
everyone
bad.
43.
That's really bad of me. I can't believe I started this. Maybe we
Ah,
should just edit this part out and start over.
no, it's no big deal. I don't care.
So, what were you doing before? Were you in insurance or?
No, I sold office supplies. I have a degree in marketing, and I sold office supplies for a local family-owned company here in Dallas.
Oh, okay. Was that like a commission-based situation?
It was like I was a cube rat is what I call it. And you sat in a cubicle. They value their inside sales reps more than their outside. So I had a book of business that I maintained, but I also was on a dialer and was, like we used the dialer to call out and they would load the leads and we would call and try to get new accounts. So it was for sure looking back an experience, but it taught me a lot. I didn't realize until later. I left that job after like 9/11. I got mad at lunch one day and had all these awards and I threw them in my trash and walked out because how it worked is your base was based off of like your book of business. And I didn't realize at the time that they didn't want me to take over somebody's book because I was really good at ringing their bell and really good at landing accounts. As a young 24, 25-year-old kid out of college, I'm looking at as I'm selling pencils and pen and paper at 1.2 million at a 30% margin and you're paying me 65 grand, which was really good money back then, but I wanted more. I wanted more for myself. And so I got angry when someone had left and it was my turn to get a book of business and they passed over me to give it to somebody else. And that would have made my pay higher, but I didn't know at the time, but I know as I matured later, it was because they needed me to land the new accounts because I was the best on the floor at doing that. So that's probably why they didn't want to give me that book of business because then it would have kept me too busy, with just fulfilling orders of that book of business. So, but it all worked out for the best. I left there. I was just bartending for like 9 or 10 months and I met a farmer's agent and he was in the bar all the time. And I finally just asked him one day, like, Kyle, how much do you make? And he told me 20 grand a month and he was short, fat and bald. And I thought, well, shoot, if he can make 20 grand a month, maybe I can. So he actually helped me get online and he said, well, there's district managers in Plano and there's a district manager in Irving. And I said, well, I think I know Plano better than Irving. I'll go to that one. And so my first DM said I was always his diamond in the rough. I mean, I was asking him crazy questions in my interview, like, can I have a baby? And what if I want to have a family later? And can I bring my baby to work? And those are kind of all unconventional questions, but it all worked out for me. And I did end up taking my first baby to work with me.
Oh, wow. So, how did that experience, like in sales, did that think it translated over in insurance? Did you get off the hot start, or how was your early years?
No, I actually was a slow starter. So everybody in my career class, honestly, like I have my picture over there on the wall and there's not anybody left that was in my career school class. Out of my district, a bunch of us went. And so they all came out of the gates really strong. I was originally from Oklahoma and I'm living in Texas now. So they all had friends and family and I didn't have any friends or family really down here. I was fresh out of college. And so they were all riding their, circle of influence and I didn't really have a top 100 or even a top 10. So I was going out and hitting the streets and I used to have agents in the district telling me like, you're never going to amount to anything. You're never in the office. And I'm like, I'm out here trying to find business. Like, leave me alone. Well, it ended up that when they ran out of their, friends and family, they just were dead in the water. And because I had made relationships and planted those seeds, then I actually was so slow out of the gates. It took me like 9 months to even career. And then after that, it was really hard for me to figure out how to get the leads, like where am I going to get the leads? Where am I going to get the business? I knew how to sell and I could close really well, but I just didn't know how to generate the leads. So that was my problem. But I think working in that office supply place for sure helped me because I was way ahead of the game when it came to phone sales. I was used to phone sales. I've been doing phone sales. Even in high school, I telemarketed. So I was doing, 95% phone sales my entire career when insurance was supposed to be face to face. So when I kind of came on the map and people realized I was doing phone sales, they thought I was crazy, even selling life over the phone or commercial over the phone. And it's just what's in my wheelhouse and what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah. Well, and now it's even more that going that direction. So that
Yeah.
skill set really helped me too, because I was actually working at a call center at AAA. So inbound calls. So I totally know what you went through, like in the cubicle,
Yeah.
highly competitive and, looking at your stats and looking at your sales. So yeah, that's interesting. And also I can relate to you because I don't think anybody, now that I think about it, in my career class is an agent either.
Yeah. It's just crazy. It's like if I tell people like scratch agents, it's tough. Like when you start from zero, they have so much better what I think are programs and bonus programs these days.
I know.
But a broke kid out of college, fresh 2 or 3 years, is not necessarily going to have the money to start an agency now. So I looked at it as I was given an opportunity, and a lot of people won't be given that opportunity now because that program is not around anymore. They've got other ways to go in to farmers, but you've got to have a little bit of money in the bank. And I was broke. I had good credit, but I was broke when I started. I had no idea what I was doing. So I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful that I was given an opportunity. It's just the way that we used to put on agents. I feel like maybe 1 out of 10 would be good, so that's not a very good ratio.
Yeah, but it does help us, um, gradually move up, instead of like sometimes when it's like comes to like, having your own office and having staff, it's like, it took me a while to hire and then get my own office and things like that. To pile all that on for a new agent, sometimes that could be challenging too. So I think there's some pros and cons to how we all get started.
For
But yeah,
sure.
what about besides your work ethic, which I could really, I getting to know you. I think that's definitely your strong suit. But anything else, looking back at those days, kind of help you? So where are you right now as far as like policy count and premium, or anything you want to share as far as staffing and your situation right now?
I think overall, inside and outside of farmers, I have a nice sized commercial book. Outside of farmers, like a trucking book that's pretty decent size. So inside and outside of farmers, I'm probably sitting around 11 million, and I have like 7,600 units in farmers. Of the 11 million, probably 9.5 to 10 million is in farmers. So just about a million and a half outside. But it's been a good ride, and I hope to go up from here. I hope to eventually get to 10 or 12,000 policies in force is probably my goal. And then I'm sure once I get to 10 or 12, then I'll be looking at 15. So that's a double-edged sword, right? It's never going to be enough probably for me.
Yeah, no, same here. But I think that's a blessing. Some people look at it like, oh man, you're never gonna be happy, but I'm actually happy while I'm not satisfied. I think you can have both. So I definitely feel you when you say, hey, once I hit one goal, then it'll be the next one.
Right.
What do you think? Was there anything that kind of like turned the switch? You said you weren't off to such a slow start, but was there one year that really made a difference, or was it just gradual, or was there
Yeah.
one?
I can look back at my career and I think like several things were pivotal for me. At the very beginning, I opened myself up to the Hispanic market. So I placed my office very early on in a Hispanic mortgage company. I went and visited a Hispanic agent and tailored my agency after hers in the district because she was just writing lights out. And I found that minority markets would refer me. If I got one, I would get their whole family. And that was just better. And I needed a referral source, right? Besides just my loan officers at the time. So early on in my career, I was probably 80% Hispanic. That was kind of my book of business. As I've gotten, further in my career, it's turned because I have some producers that don't speak Spanish, but all of my customer service reps except one have to speak Spanish. That's just the way I've had my agency. Of course, working with you, it's turning back more than 50%, probably to Hispanic again, but I'm okay with that. It's right in my wheelhouse. I'm used to running that. I'm known around here as the gringo with the green eyes, so they know that I'm going to treat them fair. We make it an education process for Hispanics, and we don't just say, sign, give me your money. I train my staff to show them, hey, here are the pros and cons of lower or higher limits. This is what you need to do. I understand if you need to save money, but this is a better route. So it's worked well for me. I think opening to Hispanic, and then probably year 7 or 8 is when I really opened myself up and really learned commercial. That really took my income to another level as well. Before, when I just kind of dibble dabbled in it and just did, maybe an office, my own insurance agency policy, or making 50 or 60 bucks on that was not anything. But when I really dove into commercial and learned the business and found a few things I was good at, which I like trucking and I like restaurants, and then I kind of have what I call odds and ends, and then contractors are a good pivot off of the Hispanic market because there's a lot of contractors, they own businesses. So just trying to cross sell my book. So that really helped me, was to figure out the commercial. And then again, when I really figured out life insurance, it's just really helped me to be diverse. So it's like not focusing on just auto and home. I really try to sell evenly in every pocket. So then if something goes wrong in one pocket, I'm not dead in the water.
Right. Yeah, you got to be able to sell all different lines of products. But yeah, what I like what you said about there when it comes to Hispanic community is that once they can feel that you really are looking out for them, their best interests, and it really translates into results, I think, So there's a market there where people need honest, caring insurance, consultants, and providing that to them is something that I get, fulfillment out of too. Like we're actually like helping people, So yeah, that's great. And yeah, the commercial and the life policies, that's something that I could learn a lot from, and I'm still trying to. But did you ever feel like, if something was working so well, if you try the commercial or the life, it will take something away from what's working well? Or how did you get across, okay, jumping on and really going full force and taking your attention away from something that's working well to something that may take some time to develop?
I think it was the opposite of what you think. I think that once I got into it and realized like how much more money I could make per policy, and how much more I could help a customer, and by not only just doing their auto and home, but could also help them insure their business, and then could help them look at their financial planning, and then pivoting to life insurance and protecting their family, and becoming an everything to everybody. Like I want to insure everything in your household. It just made more sense. It helped me to make better relationships, which I would say is not my strong point. I'm good like one-on-one or one-on-two, but in a big group, or going to talk to some large company is just not my wheelhouse. So I like the smaller business owners where I can joke around and laugh and just be myself, because I think that is probably one of my strong points, is just being myself along the way. I got my Don't Stop Believing t-shirt on today. Got my flip-flops on. For sure. Got my dollar flip-flops on from Old Navy, and some cut-off jean shorts, and that's just really how I like to work. I mean, I could do $1 million life policy or a $500,000 rollover in my Old Navy flip-flops, and that's just, I have to be true to who I am. And dressing up in a suit or a skirt or anything like that is just not going to be who I am. So I think that being yourself along the way, and hiring for what I'm not good at. So I'm not great at, maintaining relationships, and I kind of am a hothead. And so when people call screaming, I have to have somebody that can be the mediator, because I can tend to just scream back. So it's not the best. So that's why I have to have really calm staff, around me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you in so many levels. I'm wearing Jordans right now. And yeah, when it comes to, yeah, when clients get, or when sometimes clients mistreat my employees, that's when I get kind of hot-headed to them. So that's something that I've learned to, get better at too. I'll tell them like, hey, don't learn how to do customer service from me.
Yeah. No, you don't want to hear me. Like, I've had it out with people over the years. So I just really try to take the escalations, and I just try to pay attention. It's a little harder now that I'm in my own building. It's, a little bit, it's a bigger area, but I still try to stay in tune with what's going on. And if I hear a customer abusing one of my staff, or vice versa, if I hear a staff being short with a customer, I'll go and be like, hey, we're not going to do that. You got to kill them with kindness. And then I also tell the client, like, hey, we're human around here. Maybe we made a mistake. If we made a mistake, we'll make it right. But, you don't have to yell and scream and cuss. It's not necessary. And some calm down, and then some scream louder. So it's just, you just kind of, insurance is one of those things where People don't like it really very much. They just know they have to have it. So sometimes they have a chip on their shoulder when they call in the first place. So, and I think during a pandemic, everybody's a little bit on edge anyways.
Yeah, I tell my staff to just, try to have some empathy, they're
Yeah.
probably going through some difficult times, financially, just health-wise too. So it is something, I absolutely agree with you. People are on edge. So we just really want to listen to them and tell them that, hey, we want to help you as much as possible. Even if the request is impossible, we'll still tell them that we'll try and call them back. And by then they're cooled off. So yeah, there's different tactics, but how are you handling the pandemic situation? I think well, we had a conversation that you really helped me actually. But what are your thoughts in general about operating an agency right now during these times?
I think like everybody, I mean, truthfully, I was scared. I was scared when I think farmers did the right thing by, stopping cancellations for those that were sheltered in place and couldn't go to work. But I knew that if they couldn't pay their bill in the first month, they weren't going to be able to pay the 90 days, after 3 months of holding it. So I knew that that was going to be a future problem. And that's what we're kind of seeing now is where all the businesses are struggling, because I do have a commercial book, they're struggling to get back going and up and going, and we're trying to work with them and work on payment plans. And so I could see that in the future and see that being a very big problem, and knowing that we had to do something to write out of that, because that's an insurance, it's all you can do. You've got to be able to write out of the cancellations, write out of the shoppers. You really have to keep going, and you have to keep going with new business, because you're always going to have natural attrition, and in a pandemic you're going to have more than normal attrition, because people just simply can't pay their bills. So I think at the beginning, I had a baby in March, and I was thinking like, oh, I'm going to actually get maternity leave. And at 2 weeks, I was chomping at the bit again to go back to work, because, I had a new building I had just closed on in February before I had the baby. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I had all these things happen.
Oh,
And so I thought, and now we're in a pandemic, what am I going to do? And so I wanted to come back to work, but I forced myself to stay home and take that time with my baby, also trying to keep her safe, because I was scared. And I have a 14-year-old that's considered compromised. And so I just, needed to keep my family safe. And then I had to just do the best with keeping my staff safe as well. And it was scary. I'm not going to lie. It was scary at first, but once we finally, I had to calm myself, and then I had to have some one-on-one conversations with my leaders in the office and say, look, when I'm not there, if you're freaking out, the whole staff's going to freak out. If I freak out, all of you are going to freak out. So we've got to stop freaking out. We've just got to simply come in and go to work. And when we have an issue arise, then we're going to handle it and go on from there. And we've had now 4 people be positive, and we've worked through that, and luckily they've not gotten anybody else sick in the office. And I'm just staying really, on top of it. I'm working a weird schedule: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, just to try to keep me away from my core staff 5 days a week, to where I'm only around 1 or 2 on the weekend. It's working well, but it's for sure different. It's different, but I will say back to, phone sales. It's right in my wheelhouse. So this is nothing new for me. It's what I was already doing. I've done it my entire career. I've done it for 16 years. I've been 95 to 98% phone sales, and that's the type of people I hire, and how I train is for them to do phone sales. So it really was not a problem for me as far as sales wise go.
yeah. As far as our operation, same here. I think mentally it was a huge challenge. And really made us resilient. And even now, sometimes you're second guessing ourselves, like, am I doing the right decision? Like, am I being too risky, or do I need to play more safe? But that's going to hurt production. It was a constant battle within my mind that was pretty crazy. But so many things. I want to talk to you about your office. I didn't know that must have been such a crazy, just transition itself. So it sounds like you bought the building.
No, I actually built from the ground up. So 3 years ago. Yeah,
You've been busy.
Yeah, I'm in Carrollton, and that's where essentially like North Dallas. And we're in basically a built up, an older neighborhood where people turn houses into buildings for commercial, for businesses, where it might be a dentist or a CPA. And there was literally 2 plots of land in the area. And one had came up the year before, and when I started looking at it, there was what I call a trap house in front of it. So, being a woman and employing all women at the time, I was like, this isn't going to be good if we're working late and we walk outside and you've got these drunks sitting on the front porch. I don't really want to be next to that. I don't think it's very safe. So I passed on that piece of land and just went on about my business. I re-signed a 3-year lease instead of a 5 and told them, hey, in my heart of hearts, I would like to have my own office building. And then it just was a God thing, I think. 3 months later, my staff had been with me the longest, come running in, and she doesn't like to take the highway to work, and she came down Beltline, and she came in and said, Megan, that one piece of land has a for sale sign in it. And so luckily my husband is a real estate broker. I called him, I said, stop what you're doing, pull over on the side of the road, I don't care. Call and see what they're off, what they want. If it's, a good price, just make a full price offer and get them under contract right now. And I did it the same day it went on the market. I secured it and I did really well. I only paid like $190,000 for 1 acre, which was really good. I get calls daily. I got one yesterday at lunch, people wanting to buy, and I'm like, you realize there's a building on that land now, right? I'm not going to sell.
Not for 100.
Yeah. So I sat on it for 2 years, waiting for my lease to kind of, play out, and I got. Started the process about 1.5 years out with pulling permits and all that stuff and working with the city. And I started building about 1 year ago, and we moved in February of this year. So right before, literally like 2 weeks before I had a baby, I was moving my staff and moving a full office, and it was pretty crazy. But I didn't want to do I didn't do anything. I didn't buy anything for the baby before. So I think my office and getting it up and going and decorating was my nesting while I was pregnant. So it was crazy. I was 9 months pregnant, hanging pictures and mirrors on the walls. So it's been a kind of crazy. It's been a ride.
That must have been the craziest, pregnancy story ever. I mean, but that must have been a special moment for your agency to be able to build an office the way you wanted and to, own it. I mean, I don't know how many, I haven't talked to any agents. Some agents have bought buildings obviously, but to build it just the way you want it, I mean, was that like a dream come true like moment for you guys, would you say?
It was scary along the way at some points because interest rates skyrocketed while I was building, and then they kind of backed off again. And so I thought to myself, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? Like now it's like $3,000 a month more because of the interest rates and what they're doing than when I started the process. Like, what am I going to do? So I got scared, of course, at the beginning, and then it all worked out again. They kind of fizzled back down again, and I was able to lock in a good rate. And at the end of it, I mean, I'm only getting kind of, I feel like I'm scratching on the surface because I built an event center inside my office building, like a 1,600 indoor outdoor event center. And with COVID, we can't use that right now, but it'll be cool once this passes. I'll be able to rent that out for baby showers and maybe a small wedding or a get together. But more importantly, I'll be able to have realtor and loan officer events, and my husband is on the other side because he's a real estate broker. So we office together. So we have about 6,000 square feet. With that, and about 1,200 to 1,400 is the indoor portion of the event center. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited. I'm excited for the future, and it does feel good to, for sure, feel like I'm creating more wealth, like another bucket over here.
Yeah, that's so much potential there. So you guys share the office, like?
Yeah, he's on the far side where he's the farthest side away as we can get. I'm in this corner and he's way over there. So, he's a realtor and he's out and about a lot, so he's not here a lot. But we share a conference room and a bullpen, and he's got him and his assistant's office over there. And then also I rent to a loan officer, and then I rent to a girl that does my hair. So other than that, all this side is my agency. And so it's exciting. It's fun. I like it. It happened, I feel like, at the perfect time because we were able to shelter in place and we didn't have to work from home at all. I said, look, you guys, you go, you have your own offices, social distance, and, don't eat together at lunch if you are social distance. And so it's worked out good through the pandemic because we've been able to still come to work and not have to work from home.
Right, because you're not in the office building where other businesses are coming in. You don't know where they are. You're not sharing like restrooms with a bunch of random people. But what I like about your situation, it sounds like you have a lot of space already for yourself, right? How many square feet for the agency?
Probably my portion, if you count the conference room and everything, I mean, out of the 6,000, including the event center, I mean, my portion is like 5,000 of it because I
Yeah.
only have about 4 offices that are not really mine, that are my husband, his assistant, then I have a conference room, a bullpen where I'll put more callers or more producers in later, and then the event center. But we kind of, it's a share, and if he needs to use a conference room, he would use it. If he needed to use a bullpen for his realtors, he would use it. So,
Yeah, that's great because I think the way I used to think about it is like, well, if I bought, then it'll be hard for me to expand, But in your situation, you bought plenty to expand, and you're running out some spaces that you have options there in the future. You don't necessarily have to. So that is something that yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I think one of the things that I'm lucky. I have a couple kids, but my wife doesn't work, and she does an amazing job at home. I think one of the things I should probably mention is that, like, how do you do both? Like, to me, it's like just running the agency by itself is just already at itself like maximum effort. Like you have to be on all the time, pretty much, with the ambitions we have. But to have the responsibility during the pandemic and to have a teenager and a newborn. Um, I'm sure we have some, moms out there that are, agency owners that may be listening to this, but what are some things you could share that has helped you uh, with being great at both?
right. Well, I mean, having a pandemic and working and being a mom is, I don't know any different, right? I had a baby on my career program. So I literally was 1 year in and got pregnant and had my baby during my career program. So we were so broke back then. That's kind of part of my story is that, at 1 week I started working from home, and at 2 weeks I packed the baby up, and he came to work with me. And I was inside a mortgage company at the time. And so my office was literally like one office inside a mortgage company, maybe 150 square feet, maybe. If I was lucky, I had an L-shaped desk, and it was me on one side of the L-shape, an assistant behind me on the other part of the desk, one desk in the corner, and a crib over in the other corner, and a printer in this corner. And we just made it work. We didn't know any different. Um, and we pushed through, and we made it through that. So I knew, if I can make it through that at the beginning of my career and still be able to feed 2 people before I feed myself, I can make it through anything. Like I've had, everybody goes through personal triumphs and tribulations their entire career. The last 5 years has been rough for me personally. I've been on, 5 pregnancies just to get my miracle baby. I lost one late at 37 weeks, year before last. So I've been pregnant a lot, basically pregnant, not pregnant, pregnant, not pregnant, IVF, not IVF. And so doing all of that, literally, I tell people my career saved me. So if I hadn't had my career to lean on to pick me up whenever I was low, I probably would have jumped off a cliff, literally. So having a baby in the pandemic has been scary just because, you get this far and it's taken this much. I'm 43, I'm not young. So I feel like this time around, I'm a much better mom. I'm taking the time, and I tend to be a workaholic, but I also have to think like I've got to keep her and Taryn safe. So it's a struggle. It's a constant battle because I know I need to come to work, and I have to come to work. I'm working a different schedule. I'm used to being here 5 days a week and even picking up a Saturday if I need to. So being only around my core staff 3 days a week and then working with part of them on Saturday and Sunday still feels really odd to me. But you just have to push through and make it work. What I'm telling people and agents around me and people that I talk to is that you just really cannot use a pandemic as an excuse to be mediocre, right? I think with your help and you put me in the right direction for leads, I'm having the biggest, months of my career and during a pandemic. And who would have thought that, right? And I keep telling my staff, we're very lucky that we have jobs and that we're essential and that there's a lot of people and a lot of customers that can't have jobs. So it's just a lot. It's a lot of balance. And I have a great nanny. She sends me pictures and videos all day. And it's hard because I'd set up a room with a couch and a TV and a rocker, and had bought double, 2 swings, and 2 bouncy seats and double sets of bottles, and had planned on bringing my baby with me for at least the first 4 or 5 months, just during the days. Some days if I wanted to, depending on what I had to go on, and I can't do that because I've had people positive at work, and so it's a struggle internally. I deal with it, every day. It can be a struggle, but as soon as I hit the door, I pick her up and I don't really put her down. So, you just find a way. You've got, as a business owner, I've got to find a way. I'm responsible for 10, 11 people out there before I'm responsible for myself. I can't provide for my family until I provide for theirs. And so it's just in these times, you've got to find ways to get in the trenches and find a way, and make it work. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing the best I can.
Yeah, no, you're doing an amazing job. And well, I didn't really know the part about how she's a miracle baby, and thank you for sharing, the picture. She's so adorable. It's like a part of a day that brightens me up. But now that I know what you went through, that makes it even more special. But I feel you when you say, the career saved me, because that's just something that's always there. That's just something that's always keeps you busy, and that which is a blessing. We have something that we could actually put ourselves into and get kind of lost in sometimes, and use that as distractions of what other things are going on. So what work is, and being able to work right now. Yeah, that was really powerful stuff you touched on. But yeah, it just takes a lot of strength, Megan, and that's something that I just have tremendous respect for all working women, Asian business owners. Um, so yeah, that's I didn't know that really. Must have been not easy, but I really could relate to when you say, how the opportunity the company is giving us really helps us get through some difficult times.
For sure.
And then, yeah, having staff with who had that, I had that experience too. That was difficult, but how you didn't panic, that and what you told them. I said the exact same thing you told me to say to them. How's everything right now with your staff?
It's good. I think we just take it day by day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to take them on a staycation. Friday and Saturday, there's a hotel, a big, huge resort here. It's the Gaylord Texan. Normally we would be, in Destin, Florida, or we've been to Colorado. We've been to my cabin. And so when we make President's Council, the deal is that they get to go on a PC trip, those that were here for the full year, the year before. And the rest that weren't here have to stay and answer the phone. So with the pandemic, we were going to, I kind of canceled it. And I said, I don't think we should do it. Then I came back and I've said, you know what, like they're at 50% capacity. We could just lay out by the pool all day and get a cabana and just be with our group. And we're going to have dinner in a private room. So, I'm excited about it. I'm a little scared about it. I'm not going to lie, but hopefully everything, so pray for us and everything goes okay. But my staff is holding up pretty good. I think this weekend will be a good break for them, just mentally. I feel like we've been going at such a high level for so many months, and I've been pushing them really hard. I'm excited to, get to be with them and just spend some time and laugh and giggle and have some drinks, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's great. What are some strategies when it comes to staff? Like, are you pretty big on rewarding them that way, or are you big on holding them accountable? Like, which way do you lean towards when it comes to like
I think
leadership
it's just
style?
a combination of both. I tell people that I'm very lucky and blessed. I have staff that have been with me for a long time. I have one that's been with me 12 years, one 10, one off and on for probably 8 or 9, another one off and on for 6 or 7. The newer ones are like 2 years. And I've got 2 newer ones that are less than 6 months. But I try to I kind of see what they respond to, and you got to be willing to change over time, right? Because I have some that are motivated by money, some that are motivated by time off, and so it's really trying to cater to both styles, and it just depends on what is working at the moment. One thing I started doing during the pandemic was a simple text message. So right now we're on a group test, and every time someone writes a line of business, they send a text on the group text. And so I'm finding that that holds everybody as a team accountable, because everybody wants to get on the board, and then, you know, they send cute emojis, and or they say boom, or we have hashtags. And so that's good for motivation. And then I've been with the double down, I'll tell them, you know, if we hit it, then you're each going to get a bonus. And we've got to hit 100% for us all to get a bonus. And so it's just a combination of a lot of things. But I will tell you, I feel super blessed with my team. I feel like whatever road I take them down, they'll follow me. Whether it's the right road or the wrong road, they'll let me crash and burn. They pick me up. You know, I pick them up. If it doesn't work, we try again. So it's really just, you know, trying to be the best leader I can be, and then hoping for the best, and then enforcing, you know, what I say is like, hey, we need to try this. We need to give it good effort. If it works, great, we'll stick with it. We'll double down on it. If it doesn't work, we'll you know, change focus and try something else. And so they're really good about that. They've been really good about that over the years. I've taken them down some great roads and probably some not so great roads.
Yeah, but they're still with you, you know. I think that's a great point. When I recruit, sometimes people are like, oh, I'm looking for leaders. I'm like, no, I'm actually looking for followers. You know, people who would just go whatever, because it's just so much efficient when I'm saying like, no, we're gonna come to the office for now, and then but then have other people like, no, we shouldn't do that, and like kind of like conflicting with their ideas. It just doesn't have a business, you know, move efficiently. So when you have people that are just like, whichever way she's going, I'm gonna just follow her. That is such a blessing to have people like that. But it takes a strong leader to be, and a charismatic one too, to be able to have that type of pull, you know. Anything to share that helped with employee retention?
You know, I
I
mean,
think I think that's so important. You know, it's such a hassle to have to retrain somebody. With this business, it's not like other businesses where what we do is easy. It takes a lot of, you know, experience and learning, and then the licensing, and it's just such a hassle to have to train somebody all over again from day one. Even though we do it because it's still worth it, but in an ideal world, if they're winners, then we rather, you know, have them grow with us. So, what are your strategies or thoughts on employee retention?
you know, I try to just maintain a great work environment. I let them know that, hey, I feel like sometimes it can be a constant battle. Like the minute I think that things are going great, then it's not so great again. And I have what we call, you know, come to Jesus's. I had one last week, and you know, I get to points where there's times where I got to take their cell phones away during the day, or you know, I've got these two being catty with these two, and you know, so it just is a compilation of just basically letting them know, like, hey, I'm not going to put up with that. We've got to be around each other more than we're around our families for the most part in a day. So we're all going to get along. You don't have to be best friends outside these walls, but while you're here, you know, we're a team. We're going to work together. We're going to lean on to get each other, and you know, we win together and we lose together. And so they've seen that, and I hope that, you know, I do what it takes for them to stay. But I've lost some good employees over the years. I'm not a perfect person. You know, I try to be better. I can be tough, but I don't put up with a lot. And so if you mess up and it's something that it's a continuous pattern, you know, sometimes I got to cut ties, or maybe they decided it's not the best for them and they've got to cut ties. There's been a couple times over the years where I'm like, dang, that one hurt, you know, but it always ends up being for the best, you know, like I think like that hurt for me, but for the team, it was better, you know. So as long as it benefits the team, even though I can, you know, be a little selfish sometimes and think, well, God, that person, you know, supported me and that person was good for me, but they weren't good for the group. And so if I tell the team they've got to be good for everybody, then I've got to follow suit. So it just, sometimes it is what it is, but you've got to do what's best for the group and for the team at all moments. And that way you guys move forward as a team.
Yeah, that's a great mindset. You know, for what we do, we have to like put the team, the agency ahead of ourselves, which is I think a challenge for a lot of agency owners, because they're thinking like, oh, the agency is there to serve me. But it's like, well, if you look at it as like, well, I'm here to serve the agency and look at the best interest of the agency first, then I think so much greater things are potentially possible. Well, yeah, I feel with you too when it comes to, you know, losing good employees. It's just so hard sometimes to start all over again. But that's something that I know you're doing right now, right? Some new ones.
Yeah, I've had some new customer service ones, and it's funny because I had some customer service that I didn't think would be good at sales, but they really stepped up when I had another one out having a baby behind me, and so it's been cool to see them evolve and see them get confidence and realize like, oh, okay, I can do this. I have a license, like let's have a purpose other than just customer service, and so it's been cool. It's been a struggle. The two that I have, that of the three that I hired are in school. One's still in high school, and we thought she was going to get to do online, and they're on online, but it's not self-paced, so they've got to actually read in front of the computer. So I've lost her to just kind of part-time, so that's kind of a struggle. And the other one is in college, but luckily she's going to be able to work still full-time or probably 4 days a week. So it worked out. I just, it's a constant struggle, right? In this business, for about every 5 people you hire, you might get one good one. And sometimes you hire 10 and you get one good one. And you don't really know. I've given up on people too early, and I've kept people too long. I've done both. And so I try, because I think of myself being such a slow starter and not getting it. I have empathy towards people that don't get it as fast, because I feel like I didn't get it as fast. So I'll see myself in them. So I tend to maybe keep somebody longer than maybe I should, hoping that they're going to turn around like I turned around. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. And so it just really is, it's just the luck of the draw. Honestly, there's no magic to it. Sometimes they get into gear and click, and something I never thought they would be good at, they end up being really great at it. And then sometimes they crash and burn, and then we just got to part ways. So it can really just go. I wish I had the magic wand to say, hey, if they have this, or if they do this, it's going to be this, but I don't. I don't.
Same here. It's just so unpredictable,
Yeah.
But I think the great thing is that fact that you just not afraid to try. Give people the opportunity to see what happens. I think if we go into a mindset where like this person's gonna do this, and then next month she's gonna do this, and then this is gonna happen, it's like it's impossible to plan out in this business. And just rolling with the punches is just the only really way to go. And through trials and tribulations, we do get better. How many years have you made PC?
6.
6. Okay, so after 10 years, was it when you started making PC, or was
No,
it?
I think I made it year 7 or 8, and then I didn't make it for 2 years. I set out for 2 years, and then I've made it the last 5 years in a row. So
Oh, nice.
I'm hoping to continue the trend and hope to get to year 7 to where I don't count, against my state. We'll see what happens. So we're going to give it a run for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, you have a tremendous career so far, and if you think about it, we still have so much more we could do. It's a great business that we're in, that really pays off for being patient. Having a lot of longevity. Do you have any other specific goals for your agency and things for the future? I mean,
Growth. I mean, luckily I've grown year over year with my agency. Some years bigger than others, whether it be
every single year.
Every year.
Wow.
So it's just when I look back and look at the growth, that's for sure a huge goal. I want to continue growing, even if it's by minimal. I just don't want to feel like I wasted a year. So, that's important to me. Creating a bigger team. I feel like I've been, kind of hovering around the 10, 12 mark. I need to get to about the 15 mark at some point. I think I'm going to hold tight during the pandemic just to see kind of what happens maybe the next 6 months, and hold tight with the 10 to 12 people I have now. But after that, it's going to be, full force again. I would just tell, people it's just, it's a lot of highs and lows, right? Peaks and valleys. And along those, there's life, right? And life gets in the way. And, we all face those. Nobody is exempt from pain. Or some of us, some people face it more in their life than others. Some are what I call lucky people, and some are unlucky like me. But, your career is going to have peaks and valleys. And coming out of those valleys, And rising to a peak again makes it all worth it to me. You know, if it was all up here all the time, then I think I would not be or have grown to the person that I am today. Because if I hadn't had the lows, then I couldn't be the person that I am. You know, it can't be all great all the time. Those lows have really made me dig deep and look at myself and see, who am I? Who do I want to be? Who do I need to be for others? And how do I give back? You know, so those peaks and valleys are super important at any time. I think they keep you humble. I think because I had such a humble beginning in my career, the first that is always sitting, it's like the little man on your shoulder talking to you, like, you don't want to go back to that, you know, do whatever you need to do so you don't go back to that. And listening to those voices to just push forward, you know, and know that when you're down and you're in a low, if you keep pushing and you don't bunker, is what I call it, like bunker mentality, then you're going to hit a peak again. And so right now we're in a peak, and just hoping that, you know, we can just prepare the best we can for whatever next bunker comes our way, because there's no telling what it'll be.
Yeah, that's a great mentality that you almost like expect the, a low to come. So when it comes, you're not like crumbled, you already like know like, okay, I've been through this before. But you're absolutely right. I feel like, if you don't experience the lows, then you don't really value the highs too. So having that experience, what are some things when it came to the lows? I want you to talk a little bit about the work ethic part, because, Sundays, closing businesses, that I consider myself, I, I like to think that no one outworks me, but then like on Sundays when I'm working from home, you're working at the office. Uh, but would you say, is that what got you through the tough times, or what, because I know there's agents out there that are, struggling right now, or personal life too. Like, there's a mix of so many things, health stuff, what, I mean, I definitely want you to touch on the work ethic, but where do you get that from? Is that something that you're born with? Is that something you built? What's your general thoughts on just, your work ethic?
I think my work ethic comes like from my background. My background, I was an athlete all through high school and through college, NCAA athlete, and I've had a lot of good coaches and a lot of good mentors. And my DM that I have now is incredible. He just has a coaching mentality and he gets me. And he's taken me to a level that I never even thought that I could. And so that makes me try to, be a mentor and be a coach and give back to others as well. I think the work ethic is just, I got to do what I got to do because I want so much more. I have one cabin, now I'm looking at one cabin 2 and 3. I have a building, okay, great, what's the next? I'm always looking at what is the next thing. And so in order to do those bigger, better next things, then I've got to be able to adjust and adapt to change, which is not easy. I've had the same hair color for, 10 years probably, by a little bit of a variation. So I don't really, I say I don't adapt to change, but honestly I do. I say that just because it's like, I want to say like, I don't do well with change, but I force myself to be able to adapt. And I think being a former athlete, I'm used to the coach mentality. I'm used to, if someone shows me the way or gives me an opportunity, then I'll just work as hard as I can to, be on top. That's where my team mentality comes from. I'm really big with, hey, there's no I in team. I constantly talk to my staff about that. And so, working 7 days a week, it's a pandemic. I mean, like we've got to work overtime and do what we need to do. Because we need to give back to our customers and be here for them in trying tough times. And I've got to make sure that I can pay for this building and I can pay for, 10 salaries and I can pay for my own bills. And so I'm just willing to do whatever, whenever. And, I'm sheltered in place with a baby. So what else do I have to do besides work? So don't give yourself such a hard time.
Yeah, it's just work and family, right? What else
Yeah.
to do these days? That's awesome, Nick. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think sports is such a great lesson, in life in general. It has taught me a lot too. It's just sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. It's just losing is part of the game. And team, what's sport in particular? Were you a college athlete in?
I ran cross country and played basketball, and I ran track. I was a high jumper. So in college, when I figured out I could go to college and pay for school and just high jump, then I got kind of lazy. So I just high jumped in college, but it still was part of a, even though you're like an individual in track, you know, you've got to shine in your own events, you're still contributing to the team. I just happened to always be on not so great teams. So I felt like I was just kind of competing in my events for myself. And so, but I knew there was the team aspect. I feel like cross country and basketball are a little bit different because you're really playing, you know, like on a team. It's a little different than track. But I literally have had, you know, I've had a lot of grief, and I would say like I would had not such a great, you know, my childhood. I just I lost both parents early in life. My dad, that I call my dad, is a stepdad. He's raised me since I was 2. And so I think just, you know, there were several times in my life, like 7th grade, I remember after losing my mom, and I came from a small town to a bigger town to go to school, and the PE coach was the track coach, and in a small town, all you have really for girls is basketball. So all I knew growing up as a small child was basketball, 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 basketball. So when I had the physical fitness test and I beat all the boys and my kids in the mile, the PE teacher said, you know, hey, I need you to come out for track. And I said, track? What's that? You know, like, I don't know. I only play basketball, you know. So she talked me into it, and, you know, it became my lifeline. It really, like, kind of how my career saved me as an adult for the last 5 years. Track became a passion. It just became my outlet. I could get out on that track and run and just not look back. And I think that I didn't know at the time, but I can look back as an adult and realize that, you know, sorry to get emotional, but that coach, like, she was an amazing mentor. And she pushed me to like heights and levels that I never thought that I could go to. And so you just look back at those pivotal times of your life and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, like I didn't get it then. I just knew I was winning, right? Like I just knew I was good. And so it just felt good to be good on that track. It felt good to go and win high jump. It felt good to go win the 2-mile relay. It felt, you know, that felt good. But I can look back and think, goodness, like, she really made an impact on my life, which I've been able to bring into my career. So sorry, I get emotional. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I think all of us have those things in life where, you know, you look back and you're like, that was a big deal. And it's helped me a lot as a mother. It's helped me a lot as a business owner. It's helped me a lot as a leader amongst my peers. Probably more than I'm willing to admit, but I think sports was a huge impact on my life, for sure, just like my career is to this day.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Meg. I'm sorry to hear about your parents, but I think it all makes sense, you know, that influence that she made on you. I think that's what you're doing for other people right now, is to coach someone and to help them in their lives. And there's so much that connects with your story from that point to where you are now, and with the sales job you had. You know, everything kind of comes together now. That now makes me understand why you are where you are, because those tough times is what makes you stronger, and the coaches and the help you get along the way has such a strong influence in your life. You know, what a blessing to run into that person and to help you have this, you know, strong mindset now. That it's really inspirational. And I feel like in certain ways you're probably, you know, being able to do that to your staff and to your community too. You want to be that positive influence where you're helping other people. And I really admire you for, you know, sharing that story, because it could help other people too. You know, I think when it comes to helping other people, it's something about it that it actually really comes around and helps you too.
Absolutely.
So yeah, yeah, Meg, it's been great, you know, working with you. You helped me in so many different ways. You telling me about the PPP. That was I remember that too. So it's just been very recent that we got to know each other, and we just like pretty much through text messages and stuff like that, but through actually communicating with you in this format. Um, I think it was great for me to understand because there's something inside of all of us. I think work ethic, but I see a lot of competitiveness that we get from sports too that help. But I'm really excited to see you and my agency. Both agencies really do great things. But yeah, yeah. Until the next struggle, let's enjoy right now.
Right. Let's stay on the peak and not, like not find the next valley. Let's just stay up here for a while.
Yeah. But yeah, um, anything you could share maybe with your relationship with a working you know having such a strong family as far as what your husband has done and what your kids have done have meant to you in your career.
I think my kids give me purpose for sure. It's about leaving a legacy and working and knowing that my life's work means something. So I think that drives me for sure. It's just to hope that my kids have a better, life and path forward than maybe I had growing up. And so, not saying I had a bad childhood or anything. By any means, my stepdad was great, but I just want my kids. To not have as such a difficult road maybe as I had. And so the independent side of me can be a double-edged sword. It's like, oh, she's an independent woman, but in my marriage that can be difficult because I'm constantly saying I can do everything by myself when really I just want help. So I think that you've got to have for sure like a family at home that is a good support system. It's hard to do what we do. It's hard to run on the level that we run day in, day out. My mind never really turns off. I'm constantly looking at numbers. I look at numbers from the time I get into bed to the time I go to sleep, off and on all night. So, it's really important to have a good support system for sure. So, I've got a great support system at home, and my kids are amazing. Super happy. I'm for sure at a peak right now in my life and in my career. And I just hope, hope for the best. I hope for the best for everybody. And I just want us all to get through this crazy time that we're living in right now and all be safe and healthy and, all of us to make it out on the other side and be okay.
Yeah, no, I sincerely hope for the best for you too, and your family and your agency. But it was great talking to you today, Meg. I really appreciate your time. Um, I know you're looking at the numbers, so you're probably looking at the time too. How many leads we got?
Right now we're at 1:30. You're okay. Now I just want to tell you, like, thanks so much too. Like, you've been great for me. Like at the right time in my career, you've helped for me to not be so stressed while being out with having a baby. Like even our small text messages, back and forth, encouraging texts that we have. I tell people always, you need to surround yourself with good people, and I think you're good people for sure, Dan. I'm excited for you. I'm super proud of you for making PC, and super proud of you for making, Agent of the Year for personal lines, and it's an amazing, huge accomplishment your first year at PC, and something you should be super proud of. I think the sky is the limit for you for sure.
No, thank you, Meg. Yeah, for both of us, I'm really excited. And yeah, no, thank you for trusting in me. I think there's a one thing with working with agents, when it comes to buying leads and things like that. Um, it's a little different mentality when someone sees something working and they're like, okay, well, this is great. But another thing for you to take it to another level that fast, I think that just shows that you're willing to invest in your agency, and I think that's just something that sometimes the difference maker. It's like how serious are you? How much money are you willing to put down for your agency? And I think that's something that I just saw, like, wow, you're just different from other clients, other agents I worked with. So that it just shows that your willingness and your will, really, frankly, to grow your agency. So yeah, I'm excited to keep continue to work with you. Hopefully, the performance could vary, but I'm going to try my best. And I've got so much to learn from you. And I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. We're gonna continue to help each other. And I think that's something I recommend all agents to do, is to have other, because when it comes to working with other agents or having a relationship with, it could be a bad thing sometimes too, depending on the other agent. And sometimes you're trying to make one positive, one negative, and then the negative one's stronger, then it kind of could bring you down. So finding optimistic, energetic, strong agents, and really you know having somebody on your side is something that I really value. So I really appreciate it, Meg.
For sure.
All right, well, let's close out this folio strong.
Sounds
Enough
good.
talking.
All right. Have a
Thanks,
good
Meg.
day.
You
Okay.
too.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.